Good morning. So this is a huge day. I've been thinking about this for a really long time. I finally brought the motor over to Oakland to the shop. Gonna put it all together, put it on the engine hoist, and start to place it into the engine bay and fit it around and see how everything works together and start thinking about how I'm gonna fabricate the mounts for the engine. It's a lot of stuff I've thought about for a long time, a lot of stuff that I've worked out just with my mental imagery, and now I get to see if it all works, and if not, what am I gonna do about it? So I'm a little nervous, but let's get going and see what happens. Okay, so I've joined up the motor, the transmission, and this mounting bar. I've just lightly tightened the bolts, tight enough to hold, but obviously not for running. Okay, that's the motor. Moment of truth. Let me see if I can get it centered over the engine bay. It's fun working by yourself. Okay, that's getting closer. Gotta lower it down gently, gently, gently. I've got an idea. I need a third point of attachment. And I've got just the thing. So I got it more or less leveled, more or less centered on where it's gonna drop in. And now I can just drop it straight down and hopefully get it right into the right place. Well, that's interesting. It's a little bit different than what I expected. I can still go down lower for sure, but it does change what I was thinking in terms of the way the mounts were going to work. All right, check the level. Ah, that's level. I think it needs to rotate just a tiny bit that way, which means I have to pull the whole thing off for a second, lower it, change this chain, and put it back in. All right, I'll be honest with you, today's been a little bit disappointing. The motor and transmission fit into the space, but there just wasn't enough room to hold the inverter in the place where I wanted it to be. I mocked up this, the same size and shape as the inverter, but it's a lot lighter and easier to move around and put in different positions. And I was really hoping that I could actually mount it right here against the firewall. But not only is it just slightly too wide to fit between the structural bits here, but it's just too deep when the motor goes in. Just by like an inch. That would have been perfect, but it just doesn't work. So it's gonna have to sit on top of the motor. And so I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of substructure to hold it, which is a whole nother bother. A little disappointed about that. And then the way I was hoping to do the motor mounts, using these things I bought, which are motor mounts for another car. I was hoping that these would sit on the cross beam there, and I could create a bracket that would attach to these side bits here on each side of the motor. But when I get the motor into place, there's just not enough space for this. The closest it could be is sitting down here, but it just doesn't quite work because you have to be able to bolt on both sides of it, and it has to sit on something that's strong enough, which means I'd have to like install some kind of beam there that would hold it, and I'm just not really sure I could do that in a way that would be sturdy enough. This cross beam here is the only thing that's really sturdy enough. So I'm gonna have to figure this out again. I had one other idea. I just rotated the whole thing a little bit more. I'm gonna lower it back into place and see if rotating it clockwise helps at all. It might, so let's see. Okay, that doesn't solve the motor mount issue exactly. That's just not gonna work. Damn it. But that being said, there will be room up here for it. I'm just gonna have to, like I said, build something to mount it onto. It's kind of heavy. That's why I built the wooden version of it. So it's got to have something strong to sit on. So I will have to figure that out. I feel like I'm gonna have to run a couple of rectangular square tube bits across to the firewall, to the front end. Of course, I do not want to get into a front end collision like that, because those pieces of square tubing would just run right through the firewall and right into my lap. So that's not cool. So maybe it's pieces of square tubing running lengthwise, which is possible, at least across the front here. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up for today. I don't think I can figure out any more about it. There's a lot of food for thought, but I'm gonna solve this because I have to. And stay tuned. We'll see how it works out. Good morning. I'm driving up north to Thunderstruck Motors to pick up the DC to DC converter and the charger and the charger port. I also hope to talk to them a little bit about a couple of things I'm having trouble with, particularly taking a look at what the original engine mounts look like for the Coda. I'm still working out exactly how the motor mounts are going to work, and it's a puzzle. All right, so yeah, success. So I got a, this is actually a master cutoff switch and fuse, which can mount to the battery box. So that's kind of cool. I needed one of those. I've got one of the motor mounts from the Coda. This is a spare, they gave it to me. If they get the other one in, they may give that to me as well. They only had one at the moment. I don't know if this will work, but I'm gonna bring it into the shop and see if I can work with it. Kind of would be cool if it works. I got the charger port, the EVCC, and the DC to DC converter. That takes the traction battery, high voltage battery, DC source, and converts it down to the 12 volt so it can run the accessories and then also charge the 12 volt battery. And then here is the charger. A lot of wires, but this will be what charges the battery. Pretty nice haul. Now to head back home and get on with my day.